Rock and Pillar was one of many beautiful locations in the South Island which we shot on our location shoot. It was about a 45-minute chopper ride from base camp.
That was a great day because it was the four of us from Lake Town. And we were dropped on the side of this mountain. And then the helicopter takes off and it's just us standing there by ourselves. And that would circle around us and take footage of us. As we were walking up the hill, we found ourselves humming the theme song for Lord of the Rings as we were actually doing the shot, which I thought was quite funny. It felt very dramatic and it felt very epic. It was a fun day.
When we went to Rock and Pillar, the weather was a lot calmer, and actually it was quite hot, I remember, which wasn't the case for main unit, who I know had a pretty brutal time up there.
When we were shooting some of the Wag chase sequence,
come on, run!
We were preparing to head up to the Rock and Pillar, which was a location across the valley on the other side.
Pretty much that distant ridge line between those two rocks. A pretty remote location. And so we had to run helicopter relays from our home base and sort of chopper all the cast, all the crew up to the mountain.
That was the first stage in Operation Thunder. It was our 10 helicopter expedition.
This is officially the coolest day ever.
So Operation Thunder, yeah. This taps into my theory that all production people are essentially frustrated military people. All they're missing are the weapons.
It was like MASH. You know, it's like loads of us just going on these helicopters. You know, I haven't made films like that before. This job was my first time in a helicopter. Very new experience for most of us.
Woohoo! This is Adam Brown's first helicopter ride. Oh my God.
I was ridiculously excited because I'd never been in a helicopter before. Never.
I've literally been looking forward to this since I got the job.
Being on location, you would go to the most remote, wild places on Earth. But with that comes challenges in terms of getting equipment in, getting food in, getting personnel in. I mean, even toilets.
Well, that was close. Whew. Honestly, sometimes they just don't check.
We had to travel up with our makeup people. We had to travel all of the cranes up there. We had to travel all of the weapons, all of the camera gear. And so they had helicopters with stuff hanging underneath.
We spent a lot of time preparing this mission. The gear had to go up and it had to come out the same day, so we had to make sure that we were going to be as efficient as we possibly could to get what we needed.
There's just helicopters everywhere, and they're flying in and out all day from, like, the base camp.
Which one are you piloting up, Adam?
I'm going to have the red one.
You're going to take the red one? Good stuff.
There's one of those moments where you're just pinching yourself all the way in the helicopter going, oh my gosh, and then landing on the Rock and Pillar range and seeing practically half of Stone Street, even a coffee machine.
That's when you know you're in an expensive movie, when they're helicoptering in the coffee supplies.
We had 120 cast and crew on location, and we had them up there, and we had all the equipment up there in the hour and 15 that it took us.
It sounds so impressive anyway, doesn't it? Rock and Pillar, it just sounds monumental, and it is.
It was very high up, beautiful views. I mean, you could just see half of the planet, it seemed.
Oh my gosh, what a day.
Yeah.
It just felt really space-like being up there.
That crazy landscape, which looked lunar because it was so dry and the rock formations were like nothing I've seen.
Nearly there?
Yes.
Come on.
In! Oh, he's in!
It's on DVD!
I just love that we're higher up than those clouds right there.
Yeah.
Spectacular, obviously, yeah.
Rare mosses on the ground. It's you're walking in a place where you have a total sense that nobody has been.
Being in such a fragile environment, we had to do what we could to protect the environment and make sure at the end of the day when we left, there was not going to be any damage.
Walk on the rock, stay off the moss.
Walk on the rock, stay off the moss.
Shooting up there in very difficult conditions, very uneven surface and all that was a challenge for everybody.
Everybody lends a hand because, first of all, you can't take your entire crew up to places like that. So basically every department is undermanned up there and you are helping each other all the time. If you've been brought up in low-budget movies, you don't have a lot of stuff and you make do with what you've got. And Andrew's actually very good like that as a cameraman. So long as he knows what he's got, he will make it work.
The idea is that as Balin starts talking, this thrush kind of just flies from nowhere across the front of you, Martin, and you just watch this thrush, and it's going to settle on a rock that we're going to put, or a branch or something, in the foreground of the camera.
Hey, Mark.
Wasn't always like this. Once, these slopes were lined with woodlands.
We're being led to Erebor by this bird, and it's the scene where the dwarves are cresting the top of a hill and they see the desolation of Smaug lying before them.
We're looking out at the most beautiful thing in the world, you know, like everything about it is lovely. And we're just looking out at it going, awful, horrible. You know, it's like, you know, that's probably like the best acting we do.
That was a lovely one. I think we got that, guys. Good. Thank you. Congratulations.
You don't take anything for granted if you're shooting in New Zealand. But the conditions change here like that. It can go from being sunny to snowing. Bang, they say 4 seasons in one day, that great Crowded House song, and it's very true.
We had a guide with us on the mountain who told us the weather patterns of the day. He was watching it and he said, look, come 3 o'clock, the cloud's going to roll in and you're going to have no visibility again. And so they carried on the filming, and sure enough, as it got closer to 3 o'clock, the guide pointed out, he said, see those clouds, here they come.
When the mist comes down, it's impossible for helicopters to fly because they fly by sight of land. And so when there's a mist come down, of course, the helicopters can't fly because they can't see anything. And it makes it very dangerous.
Excuse me, Pete. We're doing Bilbo's line, aren't we?
We were working really, really against the clock and against this incoming cloud.
Complete white out.
We will shoot, regardless, because it might be a good, tasty look.
Pete is quite laissez-faire about things, you know what I mean? It's like, because I remember saying to him something like, so, yeah, are we going to get this shot done? He went, oh, yeah, we'll get it done. I'm like, yeah, it'll be fine, you know. He's not overly bothered by anything. I think he was the one who said, oh, this'll pass. But then eventually the word comes in, no, we're losing the light and this is not going to pass.
And action.
We are mid-scene.
Relax, Master Baggins. We have food, we have tools, and we're making good time.
We're all really into the swing of it, and suddenly one of the chopper guys calls it because we have to come down.
Usually we have to cut now, we have to hurry up, or we'll do overtime. And this is, we have to finish now, or we're going to be stuck on a mountain.
So the dwarves should draw straws as to who they're going to eat first tonight, or maybe the crew should draw straws as to which dwarf we're going to eat.
Bomba.
The crew are taking votes as to which dwarf we're going to eat first tonight. When we're stranded up here, we have to throw a dwarf on the fire.
Anybody that's worked with Peter Jackson will know that Peter actually likes it when it gets a bit rough. It's just like that's the boy in him, you know, and that day he was loving every moment of it.
I think you'd be quite healthy to eat, to be honest. Well, I think you'd be popular. Well, it depends what kind of cut you want, what kind of meat. That's what would have happened. It would have turned into that story alive, you know, in the Andes. But in this case, all dressed as dwarves, wearing prosthetic makeup. And we would have ended up eating. Peter would have been the first to go. We would have just eaten him.
There was a little bit of alarm at the fact that we might not get out of there, as Peter had a huge grin on his face. He was loving it.
Oh, I thought we were all just going to squeeze into your tent, Pete.
Well, no, my tent's the boudoir.
Pretty well.
My tent's the boudoir, and it's... I'm afraid you'll have to build your little stone huts outside my tent.
No grips allowed.
Mate, no. Now, there's the place to sleep tonight. Stack a little stone wall up here. That's a Bear Grylls type spot.
Sleep with the wetters.
Close to water supply.
Wow.
All righty, here we go. Watching, quiet, please.
And we're making this look like a different part of the mountain to the one we've just been on. So.
And you know, the director wants to keep filming. It's like, no, you have to go now.
And we realised very quickly, while we had time, we'd better pull the plug on the filming and start getting everyone down this mountain as fast as we possibly could.
Right. Oh, we really have to go. Right. You know, sort of like we're actually having to trot. We're not strolling. It's kind of exciting, but also you kind of think, what if we don't make it down the mountain? Like, we've got to go now. We have to go now because it's coming in. So with helicopters in, we've got to run, you know, and in groups getting into helicopters. And you think, this is really exciting, but what if we don't get down?
So it's this mad scramble to pick up everything. All the camera crew are kind of packing up their stuff and getting it into helicopters and trying to get off the mountain in time because the cloud is coming in so quickly that if the cloud hits the mountain, we'll be stuck up there for the night.
Getting to the choppers, please.
The choppers.
It's an amazing thing of efficiency, watching everything get packed up into its big steel containers and then slung into a helicopter and taken off. Logistically, I don't know how they did it.
We'd all stayed in kind of clusters because you could hear the choppers out there, but you didn't kind of know where they were. Eventually, little pockets would open up in the cloud and the chopper would kind of ninja in and we'd go running up to the choppers and jump in. We'd kind of get up to about 20 feet off the ground and then just kind of inch our way through the clouds, almost at walking pace at times.
So we're hoping that a little gap would appear that your helicopter could get through, which, you know, just happened. It just opened up enough for us to be able to get up and out.
Another 10 minutes and we wouldn't have got off. And in fact, a lot of the techno cranes that they had up there had to stay up there overnight.
I think quite a few of us were kind of happy to go, okay, let's do it, let's camp, let's stay. You know, we've got these really, really heavy warm costumes, we'll just camp out. But of course, actors get shoved into helicopters first.
Woohoo! Amazing!
We really have to start working that way if you don't want to walk down.
When I saw the second to last helicopter taking off, I went, well, all right, well, I'm sure we can jump into the next one.
Unfortunately, the cloud got in too quickly for us to get the last helicopter load of people out.
Poor old Bruno Dubois was left up at the top of the mountain with a couple of his fellow crew members.
When it didn't land, my first thought was, okay, we have to walk down, fine. I'll be late for dinner, I guess, fine. But where are we going? We couldn't see, 3 meters in front of you.
Bruno's a Belgium guy. Now, Belgian people are fantastic, but history has rendered them as slightly expendable. So Bruno, unsurprisingly, was one of the ones that had to be abandoned up there.
They actually had to get below the cloud so that the helicopter could come in and pick them up, while the rest of us nervously awaited down the bottom.
So there's a lot of circling that went on for a good hour. The pilots were all scanning, trying to look for a break in the cloud so they could actually see where they're going to land, because there's no way they're going to fly into the cloud blindly.
We didn't really know in which direction we needed to go down the right side of the mountain.
They did eventually turn up, and they're quite sweaty and a bit flustered, and they've been sort of, bushwhacking their way down the side of this mountain.
A little adventure. No, nothing like that.
It was a good 2 or 3 hours walk for them. So yeah, I think he bought some beers that evening, Mr. Dubois.
The thing that suffered the most was Peter's chair had to stay up on the mountain.
Hey, but I'm going back up there to stay with my chair.
I said, get the chair when you walk across.
On Lord of the Rings, Peter was given his chair, and his chair's become quite famous on set.
Another day with the chair.
We always had to make a few jokes about whether or not the chair was going to make it to the next location or not.
So we had to leave it up there and then send a helicopter up in first light to bring it down.
I think we maybe got 4 hours up on the hill before we had to leave. In terms of getting him up the hill, it was one of those big days.
You can work against the elements, or you can make them work for you, and, to have all that fog in the background and the shots, it just looks amazing.
I almost wish we'd missed the helicopters, because the sight of a bunch of men climbing down a mountain dressed as dwarves, well, Pete would have shot it. It would have been in the movie.
I would totally have camped. Bruno could have had my place in the helicopter. I would have been happy with, a pan of sausages and a little campfire. We would have done that. Because we're dwarves. That's what we do.